From the inventive mind of Greg Johnson comes a rotating horizontal rod holder. This is cool. Stay tuned. I love it when viewers send me their great ideas with pictures, and Greg Johnson just did that, and I'm thrilled to be able to make a video so everybody can see what he created. Let me show you what it is right now. If you want a horizontal rod holder that's easy to grab, check this out. That's sweet. Here's how you make it. Isn't that cool? You can rotate it around, pull a rod out, it flips back, and it's fairly horizontal, so when you're working a fish around the back of your kayak, it's not going to get tangled up in all those rods standing straight up. It's all made out of PVC, two sizes with a couple screws. Let me show you what is needed to make it, and then we'll go ahead and put it together. Well, here it is. It's all this PVC. The key thing is you have to start with a 1-inch connector, because this is what's going to fit into your in-the-hull rod holder. And then from that, we're going to go to a 45, and then a small piece to be able to give us a little bit of distance, a connector, the other piece, and then we need a final connector so when you attach the rod holders, they're level. Now, on the rod holders themselves, they're going to be screwed on. So I've got a hole right here where I can get a screwdriver through, and then another hole there. I also cut out, as Greg did, a slot for my reels. And they need to be big enough to be able to handle your reel. And then I like having a notch in there. Whoops. I like having a notch in there so it doesn't accidentally pop out. Now, I like using 1.5" PVC for rod holders because that will fit pretty much any size handle. But you could go 1.25" if all your handles are skinny. You're going to have to make a decision about whether you really want to glue all this stuff together. A lot of times I feel like this is just so nice and tight that I don't need the glue, and that way if I screw it up, I can take it apart and fix it. And you know, when you put all this stuff together, that is nice and tight. So I'm not going to glue anything because who knows, I may want to put another attachment onto this thing coming out of my rod holder. So now I will screw these pieces in, and by screwing them in, that's going to make this rigid. So the only unglued portions will be here, here, and then right there. Always happy to share anything I screw up, and although this isn't a terminal mistake, it's certainly recoverable. It's something you want to avoid. So when I initially sized this was a 6-inch piece, and I put the two connectors on, but then when I bonked it down to make sure everything was on there firm and put my rod holder on, and I want this aligned parallel with that, I don't know, just to be nice and even, I noticed that the hole that I had drilled here that the self-tapping screw is going to go through is awful close to the top of this, and I want this to almost be centered. So I'm going to recut this middle piece to be 7 inches, and then that'll fix that. So before you start drilling holes in your rod holder, you know, put everything together and bonk it down. I got to go fix this. The best way to attach these to the stand is to go ahead and do the bottom first, and I wanted mine level. Get that in with the self-tapping screw, and then get everything lined up, and then drill the remaining hole through the other side. That way you'll have this perfectly sized. And again, I'm using self-tapping screws everywhere. I think that'll be just fine. Now, to make sure I've got everything nice and level, I'm going to drill the pilot hole through here with both of these pieces sitting flat. So here's another mistake that you can avoid. I didn't realize that the holder on the inside of the kayak would need to have the slot on this side. So I had to go back and recut out the slot because I initially made all the slots on the same side when I was doing the cutting. So just remember that. You got to have one oddball right here to make sure that the reel hangs in the right direction. Really windy day out here today. the virus going on, I can't really get out to show you this on the water, but it's really simple. You just go back from your seat, you grab, you pivot, and you pop your rod out. And look how horizontal they are. That is really slick. Thank you, Greg. I really appreciate that great idea. And if anybody else has good ideas for kayak hacks, hey, send me an email. I appreciate it. Throw your comments down below. Thanks.